All right, joining us now, he is going to be inducted into the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame this on the weekend of November 1st. He is, of course, a Golden Spikes finalist back in 2010, an All-American, one of the greats in UCF baseball history, a good friend of mine. I covered him when I was a student. Chris Duffy getting a chance to talk to me and Bryson Turner here. Chris Duffy, how does UCF Athletic Hall of Famer title sound to you?
It sounds really cool, man. It's a really it's a neat title. But you know what? It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family, and most importantly, like to the kids I'm coaching.
So tell me about that day you got the phone call and you found out that you were going to get inducted into the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I got a text message, I think from Carlos, and then as assistant athletic director, and then Wallace actually is the one who actually called me. So that was cool because Wallace was my coach actually back then. During that time, now he's the head coach, and it just went around full circle. So he gave me he told me it was really cool, man, because I saw Kyle Bono last year on it, right? And he made it, and I thought that was a really cool thing. And I listened to him and his speech and everything, and I was like, man, that's awesome, that's amazing, So he inspired me. He was pretty much one of the first guys I met on my recruiting trips, So that was a really cool thing. So it feels good to be like in a class with all those guys,
Yeah, I was gonna say you now, of course, join the likes of Kyle Bono, Tim Barker, and Drew Butero, several other UCF Hall of Famers that are now in there. What does it feel like to now be among those guys?
It's awesome. It's amazing, man. Because just getting recruited. It's a home. This is my hometown too. I'm from Orlando, Florida. And UCF is right here, So like, I mean, I think when I went to school there was a lot of development going on. They were building the arena, building the stadium, putting up the scoreboard. They were talking about building the baseball stadium that's now up, and just to be a part of like the transition of it, those years, I think that was really cool because it led to a lot of bigger things, and just to see it over the years grow as the athletic program in all sports, it was really cool to be a part of it.
So I was at fall ball the other night, Chris, and I was talking to Rich Wallace, who of course is head coach of the baseball team now, and he was the assistant coach back when he first got here, and he told me a story about how he met you before you came on the campus of UCF. I just wanted to ask you, what's it been like with your relationship with Coach Wallace and how he helped you become the baseball player you ended up becoming?
Man, Wallace knew me since I was 8. Like, literally, I was 8 years old on my first travel baseball team, and I believe he was in high school at Bishop Moore at the time, and he knew me. Yeah, growing up, Wallace was like pretty much helping us out because I played with his I believe it's his godbrother, Max Sapp, and Joey Sapp was his teammate, and it was really cool because he was like somebody we looked up to as a young kid because he was older than us, and he was always doing the catcher drills with the catchers and giving us hitting techniques. And I remember him talking to me about eating healthy because I was a little chubby kid. I remember we were at the concession stand. He's like, he was like, all right, you're gonna have to put those Doritos down and eat some fruit and things like that. It was pretty cool to have them. And then, just remembering those things, and that was a big part because I was recruited out of high school pretty heavy. So one of the main reasons why I went to UCF was because of Wallace. and our relationship we had before that.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that you went that in depth with Coach Wallace. What do you remember about the first time you walked on campus and the first couple of years there for you and transitioning into Division I college baseball?
I got drafted out of high school, so it was always my dream to play pro baseball. So it was like, for me it was like a step I had to take, to go into pro baseball. And that was something that, like Bergman and Cozart, when they were recruiting me, they said, they made that like clear to me, like, hey, this is a step you got to take in order to get there. It's another step, So that's the approach I took. Like, it was part of my player development, and it really was, when I was a freshman coming in, I did have the opportunity to start. And you pretty much find yourself. You see, like, you're facing the pitching, you're seeing different pitches that you don't really face in high school. And as a hitter, you're trying to figure things out. And you're getting guided, like, even in the weight room and everything, the workouts that we were doing, you're pretty much learning yourself. And it was definitely a building block to mature as a baseball player and as a young man.
You obviously played for Coach Bergman and Coach Cozart and Coach Wallace, as you mentioned. You had to transition and adapt as there was a coaching change. Terry Rooney came in to be the head coach. Cliff Godwin came in to be the hitting coach. How were you able to adapt to those changes? Because your best year, as we would talk about, would end up being your last year in 2010 when you were one of the best college baseball players in the country.
I think it was really a build-up between all the 3 years prior to that. Like what I learned from Bergman, Wallace, Cozart, what I learned from, and then working with Cliff, Coach Godwin, he would throw me batting practice all day, and he really helped me, I think. And then my senior year, he really didn't focus on me as much as more of the guys coming in and the younger guys. Cause he's like, man, I told you everything I know. It's your turn to just take it with you and, run with it. So, that's essentially what I did. But it was an accumulation of all the coaches that I've had in the past, and I was able to connect all the dots and put it all together for that year, and moving on into pro ball as well. But it was like I don't credit just one, I credit them all, because every single coach I had, I took something from them and made it my own. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, what do you feel like was kind of the switch for you during that off season of 2010? Because, looking at your career numbers versus your single season numbers, I mean, you finished with 182 career RBIs, and 81 of them ended up being in that 2010 season alone, which, by the way, is still the single season record, 81 RBIs. So, like, what was kind of the switch for you, if there was one?
Yeah, there was. Well, number one, I was on a mission because I didn't get drafted my junior year. That was always my dream to play pro ball. And I've seen guys hit 400. I saw Matt Laporta do it. I saw Buster Posey do it. And I told Shane, and we were roommates, Shane Brown, and I said, look, we got to hit 400 this year. And when you're in that mindset, like, all right, we got to go, and we got to swing it. There wasn't time to dwell on the failure aspect of it. And I think that was the difference, because we were pretty much going up there saying, hey, we gotta make it to the next level, and we got to hit our way to the next level, and we got to do it, So, like, we were both on a mission. And I think and me and Shane, I would say it was a combination of us both to do it, because he hit over 400 that year too. Like he was no sloucher. We we were just working and we were on a mission and we had that focus. There wasn't any too much partying or anything going on. We were just locked in that whole time. Even if we had a bad game, we were on it to the next game, and we were like, hey, we got to move on quick, fast, because we gotta get it done, and sure enough, we did. And that being said, like there was a lot of things. You go through a lot of failure in baseball. Whether it's like, in that bad a game or a season, and you have to learn how to bounce back. And that was just accumulation of us trying to bounce back and, make a name for ourselves. So now it really was a good feeling. And it really was, it was something that I'm glad I experienced because I could share it with others and be like, hey, this is what I had to do. And I could teach the kids that, hey, this is, this is something that you could do as well.
I'm glad you brought up Shane Brown. I've always felt Shane Brown is one of the more underappreciated UCF baseball players. What he accomplished, maybe because of the lack of team success, he doesn't get the notoriety or the credit he deserves. Speak of how great of a player he is and some of the other teammates that you really enjoyed playing, because certainly that 2010 team, man, you set the benchmark offensively for the school. A lot of program records were broken at the time. A couple of years ago, there was an offense that kind of imitated your offense and broke some of those records. Ben McCabe was chasing some of your single records, but you had a lot of great teammates like a Shane Brown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in this Hall of Fame without Shane because he actually, from his freshman year all throughout college, he was the most consistent hitter. I might have had more power than he had, which helped me, but he was very, very consistent, and I admired how consistent he was because I struck out a lot, but he was able to make contact, use all parts of the field, and really understand hitting. I called him like a little Pujols, right? I actually tried to emulate a lot of what he was doing, and my power, just the fact that I had just raw power helped transition that. But he was a better, pure, consistent hitter than I was, and that was something that we worked on a lot, and I took a lot of tips from him as well. So he was definitely key to this, and he should be in there next year or coming up or whatever, but he should be there for sure with me.
Oh, well said there. We're speaking with Chris Duffy, All-American 2010 final, going to be UCF Athletic Hall of Famer this upcoming year. I want to mention some names because Bryson was not around. I was around that year. Let me mention some of the names you were up against, Chris Duffy, for Golden Spikes Award. You were a finalist. The man that ended up winning the award that year, a guy named Bryce Harper. I think he's doing okay, last I heard. Other notables.
Yasmani
Yasmani Grandal from Miami, who's had a good big league career, was in the mix. Drew Pomeranz, the pitcher from Ole Miss, who had a pretty good big league career. Chris Sale at Florida Gulf Coast, of course, has had a great big league career. Trevor Bauer was in the mix, in the finalist. Have you thought about that and some of the names you were up against and right there with?
Yeah.
And you think about that? There's other names like Derek Diedrich, who played at Georgia Tech that year. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Anthony Rendon.
Anthony Rendon of Rice.
Anthony Rendon.
Yeah.
Because we played against him. He's the man. Yeah, man. I feel like, or I know that I'm as good as a hitter as any of those guys, to be honest with you. But it was my call, and baseball called me to help the kids right now, Yeah. But yeah, that to be in a class with those guys, that's really cool. I was actually able, the Golden Spikes year, I was hanging out with Bryce Harper. We went out to eat. We went to Fan Fest. And it literally was like me and him chilling at a restaurant, and we went out. He was really cool with me. And then I know Drew Pomeranz as well. Chris Sale, he wasn't there, and I don't think Grandal was there at the beginning when I was, but it was a good experience with Bryce and Pomeranz because they took us to Anaheim in the All-Star 2010 All-Star game. Definitely one of the coolest experiences I've had as a baseball player. I was on the field with like all the greats. Ryan Howard, Pujols was on there. Like, I mean, Jeter was out there. I mean, talking to Charlie Manuel. Like, I mean, you name them, they were out there. Wakefield, Harold Reynolds. Like, I mean, it was just awesome. It was like, you know, it's hard to explain, but it was amazing. And it was cool. It's cool because I could tell the story to the kids that I coached. Like, hey man, I was, you know, right there with Bryce Harper, and I showed them the picture that we took, and I signed autographs, and us on the field. So they didn't believe me. They weren't. A lot of the kids that I coach right now, they weren't born back then. They weren't even. I say, like, you guys didn't even exist back then. So it's cool to show them because Bryce is still relevant now. And you know, it's like he's a big deal right now to them. So that's cool that I could even like associate myself with them, you know? So, yeah, that's cool. And hopefully one day me and Bryce can reunite and, you know, do something for the kids probably. If he's down.
Do you show your players, the kids you teach there, some of your photos with Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've showed my baseball players some of those, like, you know, it was cool. And then, you know, one day I'll reach out to him and see if he can do something for the kids because it was cool. He's just like you and me. Like he's a cool guy. So it'll be cool if we could do something for him. I'll reach out to him.
The opportunity to go do that is honestly insane to really hear about those names. It was a season for the ages for you that ended up giving you that opportunity in the first place. I have it right in front of me. You hit 447 that year. That's a single season record for UCF baseball. 21 home runs, single season record. 81 RBI, single season record. 175 total bases, second in single season in program history. 539 on base, 850 slugging single season record. First team All-American, Golden Spice. We were semifinals for the Dick Hauser Trophy. I mean, when you look back on that 1 year now, how does it feel to look back on that year so many years on?
I go back and really think about where or analyze where my mindset was at that time, you know, because I feel like that was something that was I was on a different, mind frequency because I was trying to accomplish something, you know? And I had a mission and I went for it and I ended up doing it. And I remember my mindset like back then, how I wasn't really worried about the failure. There was something that I was doing that was bigger than me. And I had to do it, you know? So like, it was definitely a cool thing. Those numbers are a direct reflection about what I've been through as a baseball player in general prior to that. And I think that my mindset during that time, I go back to that when I'm talking to people about baseball or talking to the kids, and I tell them, hey, this is what I did, you know, back then to have success. And it's cool when that translates to the kids, to their success. I think that's the whole reason. And it's not just me. It's like it translates to them, to multiple kids, and hopefully they can pass it on to other people as well, and other people can have success from it. So that's I think that's the only reason why I was even put in that position for it to happen. You know, so that's cool. It's a cool thing.
Tell the fans and the audience that's listening, what have you been up to now these days?
I'm a PE teacher at Reedy Creek, and I run Florida travel baseball ages 10 through 14. So I'm dealing with younger kids all the time, and you know, helping them out and just trying to set the foundation. And now I have a daughter. She's 2. Her name is O'Ely, and we have softball teams now too. So like I'm just running the program and being a dad. So.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I know there's another UCF Athletic Hall of Famer you're friends with, Stephanie Best. It's excited that you're getting inducted. You two go way back. I
Oh
mean, I
yeah,
remember.
she hit more bombs than me.
I was gonna say, I remember
She
when she
she,
got inducted, you
she
were
hit
like
more
her
home
biggest
runs than me.
proponent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's too funny. That's
That's
too
Man,
funny.
she hit way more home runs than me.
it's kind
Yeah.
of crazy how the both of you ended up going into kind of that personal coaching thing together. Stephanie with her pro swings, and now you with your own kids.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, yeah, I hope when I was either at the end of pro ball or during the off season or something like that, I was helping her out with some of her camps and her clinics and stuff. She definitely is she's cool. She knows what she's talking about when it comes down to hitting and softball. Like, I mean, it's amazing. Like, but the mindsets are like all similar, you know. So like you like she's really cool to talk to. She's awesome. I'm so happy for her, and I'm happy to be even associated with her because she's on another level for real.
That's very well said. Couple things before we let you go. You mentioned Rich Wallace and what he's meant to you. What does it mean to you to see Rich Wallace now in charge of the program in his second year? Head coach just led them to the NCAA tournament this past year. What does it mean to have your old coach there, back there as the head coach of the program? And I would imagine he'll be in your mind as you do your speech at the Hall of Fame ceremony, among many others.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think he's gonna have the opportunity to take them to Omaha. You know, like I think that's been our goal since I went there, and I know he's gonna carry that on. And I mean, I was at the FSU UCF game last year, one of them. And you know, we were close. So I think he's gonna have a opportunity to do it. And there's some guys on his team that have been to Omaha as well. I think that's a really cool thing because when you have some people with the experience and you know that have been there before, you know that's it's they understand what it takes to get there, and they can help the other guys get there. So that like I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna do it. So we'll see.
What has it meant to you to be able to come back to campus over the years to see some of the players kind of chase the bar that you ended up setting? I mean, Ben McCabe, of course, you know, ended up breaking
Yeah.
your career home runs record very recently. And I remember, I think you were, I remember, I think I saw you at some point during that year, if I remember right.
Oh yeah, I was rooting for Ben, man. So D said it for me, and I said it for Ben, and Ben said it for the next person down the road who can do it. You know, so like I think like I said when I did what I did as far as like that senior year, I had to see it to believe. I saw people hit 400. And that was actually my main goal. But I knew if I made more contact and, you know, I hit the ball hard more consistently that I was going to hit more home runs. So I'm not really surprised that that I hit as many home runs. I think for me, it was just trying to, you know, hit for the average and hit the ball hard. Cause I know I was blessed with talent. I knew those things were going to fall in place if I did the little things right, you know? So, but Ben, yeah, man, I hope he has success in pro ball as well. And he's a good catcher as well. So yeah, I was happy for him. The funny thing is he told me probably a summer before or 2 summers before when I saw him at a summer league, he was playing summer league and I saw him at the field and he told me he was coming for my record. And I actually, at that moment, I was like, yeah, all right. You know, I kind of took it for granted, but but then he did it, and he reminded me too. I was like, man, it's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Oh, that's a great story there.
Yeah, I love it, and the fact that like a couple of years after he breaks it, you end up getting enshrined in the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame. You know, you might not hold the record anymore, but now you're going to be enshrined with the likes of you mentioned D Brown and on the likes of the other
Oh yeah,
you know best UCF ball players that have ever you know donned the black and gold.
yeah, absolutely. And I was there. I was there when Kevin Smith was there, Jermaine Taylor. I met Dante Culpepper. Like those guys like are really cool. I was there when Drew Sparrow was there. I was good friends with his son too as well. So like I mean that was cool. That was cool.
That is incredible.
And then Mark Daniels as well. That he's the man.
Yeah, he's going to induct you in there with a speech count. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
I did I know you mentioned that during that 2010 season you were trying to get drafted, and you did end up, by the way, making your goal. You got drafted in the 26th round by the Phillies, and you spent a couple of years in that organization. Just what was it like to, after having that 2010 season, to be able to play in pro ball for as long as you were able to?
Oh yeah, it was definitely cool. I for me, I was able to play with like I hit back to back with like Ryan Howard. I was on the field with like Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins and hanging out with those guys, and that was really cool for me to experience that. And then even I remembered things from that season. I took like even in low A, I hit like 380 something with like 12 home runs, and it was like, and that was a direct reflection of what I learned as a hitter at UCF. And that was those things I carried with me to pro ball. What I learned from there, and yeah, it was part of my career. So it was fun.
So
I had a lot of fun at pro ball.
yeah, so what was it? So what's it like? How do you kind of end up thinking back to your playing days now, when you kind of factor in how your pro career ended up turning out?
I think after my pro career, I transitioned into coaching, and like at the end of my career, I started coaching, and I think that it was like a perfect transition from playing to coaching, and that's really my passion now. Helping these kids and develop. So yeah, like it was an easy transition, really. Which and it's not easy for most people to transition into another. Like after baseball, you gotta kind of figure out life. I know guys in the major leagues that made a whole lot of money that it's hard for them to transition. So like it's definitely baseball is a part of you. And being a player is a part of you. Um, and that's what I tell the guys. You never know when that time is going to come to an end, and you got to figure out what you're going to do after. Because baseball lasts through your 20s and maybe your 30s, and then you got to figure it out. Figure out what else you're going to do, right? And that's sports in general.
Yeah, very true. Well, for one night, for a night, you're going to be able to relive the glory days for a little bit.
That means a lot to me. That's cool. That's cool. I'm going to enjoy every bit of it.
Well, we're all excited for you here at the Black and Gold Banneret. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you coming on. Coming on, and I'm excited to we're all excited here at Black and Gold Banneret and at Night Nation to see you get inducted.
I'm excited too, guys. Thank you.
Yep, this has been Chris Duffy, UCF baseball legend, on the Black and Gold Banneret YouTube channel.